So my channel is more so like a video diary, which is basically what I use like Facebook for. I don't use it for other people. I use it as like a journal for myself so that like years later I can go back and see either progress or regression that I made, or just enjoy memories or um, be ashamed of certain memories. Uh, Try to figure out where my mind was at that point in time, where I was, who I was talking about, things like that. But that's more so how I'm going to use this YouTube. In addition to, I mean, hopefully entertaining people to an extent, and also teaching people to an extent, um, because I try, just like my videos on Facebook up until this point, which I am putting most of them there also at this point in time. Most of them are either to pose questions, um, get input on them, or just state my opinion, or to show something that, or talk about something that people might not know and could find useful, or whatever. So that's what this is. So I'm not really looking to impress anybody. I'm not looking to necessarily get any followers, um, subscribers, anything like that. If I do, awesome. If not, not a big deal. Uh, but it also is a way for me to leave something behind should I go anytime soon, or when I do go, whenever that is, to leave something behind that people can look at, because there's a lot of people I've lost that there aren't even photographs of, let alone videos, which kind of sucks. Um, so you can't see or hear those people again. And I have a very close friend of mine who passed away in 2015, and he had a YouTube channel with just two videos, but it was cool to be able to go and see those videos because I hadn't seen him in a while. We'd talked on the phone and stuff, but I hadn't seen him in a while because he'd moved out of state. He had just moved back, and like right after he moved back, he ended up passing away in a in an unforeseen accident, or unforeseeable accident. So what I had done at the time was I took those videos, and I had my tablet and I recorded them. I like I took one tablet and video recorded his videos playing on the other tablet, just because I didn't know how else to do it at the time. So I have those in my cloud somewhere. Um, but yeah, anyway, so it's something like that. Um, but like I said, also something for me to go back, and it's something for me to get input on too. Like I just put a video up the other day, which like 14 people have watched so far. I don't know if that's 14 separate people or the one person watched it 14 times. I don't really know how views work, but it had like 14 views, and nobody fucking commented. I was hoping somebody would comment because I'm trying to find out what's wrong with my bike. But anyway, so I came out to the garage this morning, and I had these lights that I put up, right? There's one there, and one there. And this one here, I had this glass thing on. It was probably stupid, but I didn't have one of those metal things on it, so I put a glass thing on it because I happen to have an extra one. So I came out this morning and it had fallen because I had this bungee cord with the extension cord. I had that hanging from that metal thing, and that's what the light was clipped to. So that ended up snapping. So I came out, that was laying on the ground, the glass was broken, kind of sucked. And then just now I was picking up the glass and thought about this little tray that I made. The neighbors had siding done, So this had floated into my driveway. So I took my heat gun, flattened the center, and when I flattened the center, it made the edges have extra, so they all curved in one direction. So I heated that to make it so that another piece of glass made it so that they curved all in the same direction, and then really put some curve into it and made myself this little sliding tray for all my parts, because I got a bunch of those little magnetic metal bowls. But the problem is, for one, the bike is this is all cast aluminum, so it doesn't stick to any of that. It sticks to the seat, but not really that good. But I don't really use those fucking things anyway. Maybe with like small fucking nuts and washers and shit, but I usually end up using something like this. And I like doing this because then I can have the tools on it too, and I can just slide it from one side underneath the bike to the other side, or reach underneath and pull it towards me or whatever. So just now I was picking up the glass, and I ended up putting the glass on my little kneeling pad to throw it all into the trash. But I would have used this had these parts been sitting in one of those little magnetic bowls like they should be. I got 3 of those fucking bowls out here that are all just filled with shit. Like fucking none of them are filled with what they should be. But yeah, I don't know if anybody did not watch the video the other day and does have any fucking input when it comes to gas powered motors. Here's my issue: I have a 4-stroke, uh, and it keeps stalling out on me. The only thing that I changed on it prior to this issue was the exhaust here. Now, the exhaust that it came with on the side of it here is the exhaust port. You can see that right there. And the shape of the exhaust port is like that. Okay. So it comes off, and there's this exhaust box, muffler box. And on the side of the muffler box, there was a little hole with a piece of screen in it. And this was the muffler. So I didn't really like that because it was blowing hot air on the back of my leg. So what I did was I took this exhaust that was supposed to go on a different type of bike where it would mount on this side. With this one, I couldn't mount it directly because it would stick straight out. So I'd have to get an adapter piece. Um, so I mounted it to the side of this box. Now I have uh, um, a piece in here. It's like it's sheet metal with the whatever the fuck it is on both sides with it makes that basically airtight, like 4 mufflers. Um, and then over here, there's a little pipe that goes inside both of these, just like an inch. And the outside of that is sealed, so this is all airtight. And then this pipe here comes down inside of this one, all the way to the bottom. And it's got a bunch of slits cut in the sides of it. So prior to me making it airtight right there, it ran fine. Once I made it airtight right there, it stopped running fine. Now, what's happening is it ends up like stalling out on me. So what I have to do is put the choke partially on. And when I do that, it continues riding, but not at full power. I should be getting about maybe 40 miles an hour, but I'm getting like 20, 22 miles an hour. Like, and it struggles to even do that. Like, it's not like struggling, but it like keeps almost cutting out on me. Now I took apart the carburetor, put that all back together, took apart the air filter, cleaned that, cleaned the fuel filter. So fuel filter's clean, fuel lines are clean, fucking air filter's clean. Spark plug I have not checked, but I really don't think that it's an issue with the sparking. Um, I suppose I could take that out of there. There's some shit on the outside of it, so yeah, maybe I'll clean that a little bit and take that out and hit it with a wire brush on the underside. Then I could see in the engine too and see if there's like buildup of soot in there, because I was thinking maybe that's a possibility. There's just a buildup of like the impurities in the gas and shit inside of the engine itself, but I really don't think that's it. It seems almost like it's flooding out, but like I said, when I put the choke on, it continues running. Now, it could it be an issue that this little box right here is somehow pressurizing strangely, um, instead of it just coming out through like a direct solid pipe. Like somehow like this box is like flexing or whatever, and it's like fucking up. Even though it's a 4-stroke, so I don't know if that would even be possible. I mean, is that a possibility or not? Because it acts like it's like flooding when it dies, but putting the choke on would make it flood out quicker, I'd think, because then I'm making the mixture lean, or no, I'm making the mixture rich, right? No, lean, less air. So, which would kind of make sense because if this is somehow like pushing back into the motor, like there's not enough airflow coming out of the exhaust, then it would mean that having less air going into the motor would make it keep running. Um, that way it balances out. So I guess that kind of would make sense, but still, like I said, I don't really know much about about gas motors. I know much more about electric motors. I'm kind of learning on this one, which sucks because it was $1,000 fucking investment. But I mean, I'm happy with it so far. Other than that, um, and the brakes, I got to put hydraulic brakes on it because right now it's got the mechanical brakes, and they've been giving me issues since the beginning. And then I got 2 fenders I'm gonna put on that I just haven't put on yet, um, because I'm having this issue. So like, I really don't want to keep making it pretty if I'm gonna be having mechanical issues. But yesterday I fucked with this again. I took off the the whatever the fuck it's called, the gear wheel, and cut it. So this is just a portion of that wheel that I bent and put it into where the chain guard would go, so that these stay in place. And then you can see I took both pedals instead of having one down and one up like bicycles do. It's a 3-piece, so I took both sides off and put them both on the same way, so they both aim downward, and I bent them both so that they both stick out more than they did. So they're really not sticking out like pedals before. The end of it would have probably been right about there, but now they stick out much further. And then I took the pedals themselves off and made them so that they're just like pegs. And then yesterday I took the time inside of this thing to get the bearings out, and then to keep gapping all these different sized pipes that I had. Like that piece of pipe, there's another one somewhere else, another one somewhere else. I just kept inserting them inside of each other, and they all fit very snug. And then I added tape, like one single piece of tape, to like make them so they barely even fit inside of each other. That way, there's no wobble in that whatsoever. So I'm happy with that because they don't stay sticking straight down like they would if the bearing was on there. I'm still thinking I might want them up a little bit higher. I haven't test drove it like this yet. Um, but this is just a temporary thing. I think what I'm going to do is when I decide where I actually want these, um, I'm going to make a small hole in the top on both sides and put a screw going through here down into this arm itself so that it can't spin. Then I'd custom put some little rubber bushings on there and shit on both sides too, so you can't see inside of there. Um, and I have some other arms on another bike. These are aluminum. The ones on the other bike are steel. So I was thinking about, and they're just slightly longer. So I was thinking about taking those and bending them into like a slightly different shape and seeing if maybe I'd enjoy that more. Because right now I have them straight, which is not how your leg wants to go. These should be kind of bent backwards a little bit more. Um, which would, so like when I bent this, I bent it here to go like this, and when I did that, this piece was like this, which I should have left it that way. Instead I bent it straight, um, which would make sense for pedaling, but with when you're not pedaling it doesn't fucking matter if it's um, parallel to that or not. So I think the other, rather than trying to bend this one back, I'll leave these as is, take the other one and bend it that way, and That way, I could have them out a little bit further still, but then also have this so it's angled more ergonomically, I guess might be the word. And the other thing is like I have a possible, I think it's called a saddle kickstand. It's like a two-sided kickstand. So when you put it down, the back tire actually comes up off the ground, which I haven't bothered putting on here. I got this one that I put on there. It stays pretty well, but just to make sure that it didn't move at all, I just threw this muffler clamp on there just for the fuck of it, um, just so it can't turn side to side, which is not the best looking fucking thing. Um, but little by little, I'm going because these were all just kind of tester things. Like originally, when I put that muffler piece on, um, I didn't have this bracket there. Like it's little by little with things, and then the little metal hoop that came off of there that held this up inside of it broke off like in the beginning, and while it was breaking off, it frayed the string. So I had taken the string and tied a knot in it. So if it did break, the rope wouldn't be able to suck down inside here. That knot would stop it. So I'd be able to pull it up and undo the knot, put a washer on it, and redo the knot. That way I could use that as the pull start. But this, it has just that little tiny bit of tension. That's right where the tension like starts on the spring. Like if I took a millimeter if I made this string a millimeter longer, this thing would just kind of start like wobbling. Like that's how dead nuts that nut is to make it stay just like that, which is cool because for a while I was riding around with it like hanging down like this, and it kind of sucked. So I took the slack out of that. My other option was to put a new hoop on there and have this go up through it, but I decided to just redo this knot and see where it got me, and it got me right there. So I don't really mind that. If anything, I have another couple handles. I might put a different one on at some point. Um, then the other thought was I have this little it's like a little box thing that. Anyway, that's a video for another time. But yeah, little by little, I'm making it all fucking look the way that it should have since the beginning. But I've kind of been rigging things since the beginning before getting them correct, which does suck since it was, like I said, $1,000 investment to be learning on. Kind of sucks, but you got to learn on something at some point. And didn't, I haven't fucked anything up. I mean, it's all been, temporary attachments, nothing permanent. Like I said, with putting on that kickstand, I wanted to wait before doing anything permanent. Same thing with those fenders. I want to wait before doing anything permanent so that I don't end up with pieces that are altered in a way that isn't going to suit me. Um, but yeah, that's a definite issue. I'm not running correctly. So if anybody can give me any insight on how I can have the bike fucking run correctly without stalling out on me, I would absolutely 100 fucking percent greatly appreciate it.